Playing Elden Ring. So let's have our big Elden Ring talk.
It's so
I
fun.
should mention I just started playing Elden Ring literally yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to play Warhammer 3 more, and then I got to the point now where I was like, all right, I need to put this aside and circle back around to Elden Ring because everyone else is jumping onto it now.
To preface, where three of us are on the PS5 version and Bradley's on the PS4 version. The PS5 version runs fine. A couple frame drops here and there. Looks great. I like it.
I haven't even got flame drops, I think, unless if they had been,
They're not noticeable. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should definitely be, if you're playing on PlayStation, you should definitely be playing on performance mode.
Yeah.
PlayStation is not strong enough to do pretty mode unless you're like gonna not do combat. You just actually want to like pause the game for a second.
Well, it
and look at
does pretty mode at 30 frames, but man, in a combat game, the frames kind of matter.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some areas where I've gone into settings and like just turned on pretty mode.
Just to look pretty. And then Bradley's playing on a PS4 mode, not even PS4 Pro. Bless his soul.
I mean, good enough for me.
Yeah, it's getting the job done. And you said it runs at like a pretty consistent 30, so...
I mean,
Bloodborne runs like shit, and it's a fantastic game, so...
like, it definitely dips down whenever there's, like... If it's, like, a horde of, like... You got, like, 8 soldiers, and then there are 4 dogs, and then, like, the 2 bigger soldiers in the back, and then
there's fire involved.
And usually what happens, it's not like the entire game's frame rate dips down. It's like the enemies furthest in the back, you'll see just their frame rate dips down.
Yeah.
So it's like animating them more slowly than the guys in front. And like, I'm not going to act like it's not noticeable. I just don't really care that much.
Yeah, it's not impacting much.
The performance mode on PS5 runs little bit like a normal Souls game, like on previous gens, like at that 30 FPS. Like it feels like you're playing a normal Souls game.
Yeah.
But the performance mode really, I think, in terms of it doesn't sacrifice too much in terms of quality.
It's still a very pretty game because at the end of the day, it's the art style that they nailed. Like, I'm talking about you step up into that world and you see these cool architectures and the giant Erd tree. The Erd tree is so cool. Like the big Yggdrasil in the middle of the world is such a cool thing to always just pan your camera and look at. It's like the moon in Bloodborne, which changes throughout the game and like is always just there as a presence. As talking about the actual game, wow, I'm blown away by this game. It is so good. It is so well designed, and there's so much content. It's like, I've explained it as the experience I got when I first played Bloodborne with the experience I got when I first played Breath of the Wild. Those are two of my most favorite video game experiences, period. Like, and it's doing both of those where it's like, it's an open world, the exploration, like going places, you have to find stuff yourself, but like the combat also super matters. So the loop of like how exploring helps your combat, but to explore you need to do more combat. It's just so much better than the open world where you just have a bunch of side quests littered throughout the map and you just go from place to place, and then you go to this is where the map tells me to gather plants, and this is where the map tells me to do backpack mission number 7. Like, I much rather this style of gameplay and how Breath of the Wild does it than the traditional open world that I'm super burnt out on.
Collectibles, I think, are an outdated mechanic that need to be like for that 100% because it's just padding. I'd rather you just focus more on like engaging conflicts.
I started my file and then a little bit into it, I think I sent a Discord message. I was like, does every open world game need berry collecting?
Yes. Unfortunately, it's the Video Game Association deems it so.
I've been collecting these berries. I don't know what to do with them. I just have a shit ton.
Dude, I save them until I have like 200 and then I sell most of them.
Oh, you can sell the berries. Interesting.
They're 10 each. So, I mean, it's a little bit of pocket change.
That's something. That's enough to get you over the hump to get a level.
Yeah, like, I mean, it can boost you a couple hundos.
So, okay, this gets to the other really fun part about this experience. We've all collectively just decided to stick within our little Discord where we're like...
Yeah.
So
we're sharing tips. We're sharing, like, playground tips to each other. It's been so fun.
Yeah. I will say there's a few things about this game to note. We are playing very specifically where we're not looking anything up. Sometimes we get some information like scrolling through Twitter.
I'm watching
a thumbnail.
I'm watching my like the one streamer I watch. I'm way ahead of him, so I've started watching his playthrough. So I see some stuff where I'm like, oh, I missed this item in the location I've already been to. But aside from that,
the only thing I look up is when I have a mechanical question of like I don't understand what this means, and then I go look. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah,
now.
like what is faith scaling on your seal? Like
can
what does
just-
that actually equate up to?
I could ask you, or I could bookmark the sheet that tells me what everything does, so I can just reference it. Every
Big
time.
Brother Willer's over here to help you. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know that.
So it's been really nice. Yeah, like we haven't been looking at where to go, like what types of bosses or anything. And I will say, if you are doing that, I will boldly say you are not having as much fun as we are.
Because like what's really cool for me is, I don't know, like I mentioned that, you know, I'm using like big great swords and stuff, and Willer's like, oh my god, Bradley, I know where the coolest great sword is. He's like, you know, this lake, just go south from there and keep going south. You'll know the sword when you see it.
And Bradley,
And, like,
3 times now, has been like, oh, did I get the sword? I was like, there's deeper souths for you to reach, my son.
I keep finding all these great swords, and like, I don't know, I'm having fun on this quest that Willer gave me. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm sending you to a pile of poop at the end of it. It was very Zelda style.
The shit sword.
I really, like, if I was going strength build, I think that would be my main weapon right now. They did such a good job with the weapon. So, like, as a combat, this is easily the best Souls combat. Like, they've taken everything they've learned from every game and combined it into one refined combat with, like, the noteworthiest thing is, like, Dark Souls 3 introduced weapon arts. This game lets you replace a weapon art, and you can keep replacing those weapon arts until you find the one that works the best. And within that weapon art system, you also get to infuse your weapons with elements, which was a huge gamble in old games where, like, you kind of had to do research. It's like, okay, if I make my rapier a poison rapier, is that going to be ass? So you have to go, like, consult the internet before you make these decisions. In this game, you can just try it and you're not punished for it. And I think that's awesome.
I think I might be wrong, but I think there are some also like those rune collectibles on the ground. I think they respawn too, unless I'm completely misremembering
The
that.
Rune collectibles?
There's like the rune souls, like the
yeah. He's talking about the minor soul items, the minor humanities, minor souls.
Yeah.
I find those only from
Rune
helping
fragment.
people.
The golden runes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
my bad. I mean, okay, so you didn't know what to do with your berries. Have you found the crafting pouch?
I did get the crafting pouch, so I do have that. But
So
I just
the-
like that
The
there's
berries become horse healing items. I think that's the only thing I found for them so far.
okay.
Yo, there are some utility items in the game that have become my favorite.
I love utility items.
This is a little spoiler of an item, but I really like the torch, like dual wielding mechanic that they introduced in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
In this game, they have something called a lantern, and I love it.
Is it?
It's stupid as shit. It's very basic, but I really enjoy it.
I bet it's from Bloodborne. Is it just a lantern that you have on your pouch, like on your side? Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Now in Bloodborne, the lantern secretly gives you a stamina debuff, so watch out if it's the same here.
Oh, is that what it does?
It drains your stamina ever so slightly more because you got the lantern turned on.
I really like utility items in games like this. So to break off a little bit, I played a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's the name of the first one.
Not Forbidden West, right?
Not Forbidden West, but Horizon Zero Dawn. And I'll pick it up probably later again this year.
Side note about Forbidden West, I might have even checked that game out. It came out between Arceus and this game. It didn't have a chance.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But what I like about that game is that you get like your primary weapon is the bow, but that's only like the only primary damaging weapon you get that isn't like a pick-upable like machine gun that they drop later. So everything else you get are utility items like they're tripwires, they're like ropes you can shoot.
Oh, I love that shit. That's so fun.
So it's so like you think creatively combat wise, and that's the best part of that game is when you get into a combat, it's actually engaging and fun. I've noticed like there's a bunch of stuff with that in this game too.
Yeah, the crafting system does something really smart. There's something called a crack pot, and that is a reusable item that lets you fill it with shit, and that's how you like. That way you don't have to worry about running out of bombs or running out of holy orbs. You can craft them and actually use them. I make a lot of the little throwy items just to chip enemies with low health, so I just throw bunch of little daggers at them if I need to, and that's fun. Something I really like, I never use this item in other Souls games, but I have to use it pretty frequently here, is the rainbow stones you can drop to see if a drop is fatal.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, you don't need to
I
have
didn't know
another...
what those were for. I just have them. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, if you drop that and they explode, that's a death fall. If they don't explode, you're good.
Whenever I get to a message that says jump, I just assume it's bad and don't do it.
The messaging system in this game has been great. I'm actually interacting with it a lot. I've dropped some messages. I got some popular 10 upvote messages. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been having a good time. I think I have not explored that much. Like, I've basically stuck in the first area because I haven't, like, I've just been following the guidelines. And I just killed Margaret, like, literally before this podcast started. And except for one time where I ran into a character and opened up his box the second time, and got teleported to Bear Country. That was not fun.
Yeah, I killed that character.
That's a good little, like, experience you can have. Yeah. I think I love it when games do that. You're just like, haha, sucks.
FromSoft game. Because I've played so many FromSoft games.
Like the Bagman in Bloodborne, if they get you.
The Bagman's so good. Yeah, I love that shit. I have a growing appreciation from FromSoft games. They've become maybe my favorite franchise. Up there with, like, Pokemon and Mega Man, where, like, they just always make good shit. They make Kino. Even Sekiro, that I have my problems with. Yeah. They took a lot from Sekiro, like, they brought back the stamina system, but they dialed it back kind of in a Sekiro style, where, like, whiffing an attack doesn't consume stamina, nor does running if an enemy is not in the zone. And I really like that. They've taken stuff. If you
kill a group, you refill your Estus flask a little bit.
Yeah, that's new. There's stuff like jumping attacks, a lot of stuff from Bloodborne. They took a lot of stuff from DS3. Like, they've combined all of it into the best mechanics yet.
Yeah, there was guns. Like, that'd be fun. But I wanted to go. I love the Bloodborne gun counters.
That's the thing. I saw a tweet where it's like, I think Bloodborne's still the coolest FromSoft game, but Elden Ring's the best FromSoft game. I was like, I think I agree.
Yeah,
but, like, this is up there. Like, this is High Fantasy is hard to impress me, but, like, this has the FromSoft bullshit that's, like, it's trending more anime, where, like, stuff is flashy and weird, and I prefer that.
Man, kind of like here's my thing.
Elden Ring is basically Dark Souls 4 aesthetically.
Yeah,
it's like if you put those series side by side, you could not tell me they were two different, like, settings. That and Demon Souls, like, Demon Souls is Dark Souls -1. It's so, like, I think that's my one complaint is that, like, Bloodborne aesthetically and just look wise, I love so much more because it's so creepy, it's so cool. It's just, like, it's the style I love with a bit of a twist. With this, it's just like, this is just generic fantasy with the Attack on Titans in there for some reason.
I don't know, man. I fought this creepy dog statue that genuinely unnerved me. It was more horror than I felt in Bloodborne.
That thing was creepy, man.
That thing is weird, and the music was fucked up. I did not.
I was like, why is it here?
I do like. Also, the bosses are a little bit more like I went to Margaret and I basically beelined him, and then I was like, I got to the wall, I was like, I can't beat him, so I went back and I fought like 3 other bosses technically. So I like that aspect to it too. Like, you need to go find the other things in the area and other challenges that you can accomplish.
Bradley's been trying to say something for a little bit. I'll open up the way for him.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I feel like if FromSoft games are on a spectrum from, like, Dark Souls 1 combat to Bloodborne combat, this is, like, the perfect middle ground to me, because what I really like about Dark Souls 1 combat, like, I really like kind of how grounded it is. And, like, Bloodborne, like, just there's sheer creativity going on there, and like, just more options for how you fight. And I think this is kind of like, it feels grounded to me, but as over the top as you can get while being grounded. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. And I would even say, like, one thing I've come to appreciate about the Dark Souls games is actually the build variety. You can pick a weapon and spec into it, and you can make it work. And this game has a lot of that. Also, like, they've added Arcane from Bloodborne, but they made it blood tinge, if that makes any sense. Like, Arcane seems to be mapped to, like, blood style attacks, which is pretty cool. It's like a new element. And, wow, they made the magic fucking dope in this game. Like, it's hard to not build one of the 3 magic stats because how much cool stuff you can do as a result. Like, I went Int and Dex, and I keep finding faith spells that make me so jealous, and then Tyler tells me about the things he's doing because he's going faith. He's going faith, and I found a weapon that is the coolest weapon I found in the game, and it is so hard faith scaling. And now Tyler became Xemnas from Kingdom Hearts 2 with the 2 lightsabers, and I'm so jealous. Like,
all I'm doing is run around playing the Kerbo lines from when he's like saying prayer like, "Oh, the Father, deliver me from evil,
like,
deliver me from my enemies."
Slight spoiler alert, and all of you have access to this weapon. You just have to go back to a location. This weapon is a pair of glowing scripture.
What the fuck?
It's not. It doesn't have a physical form. It's just words that are glowing.
I do have that weapon.
Yeah.
Inventory.
It's so sick.
I have Bible scripture knuckles.
And then if you dual wield it, there's one coming out of each hand, so you're just like you look at like a. It's very cool, and he has cool.
I just have like 3 files and play them all at once.
That's what I'm saying.
I immediately was like, when I was thinking, there's also stealth in this game, like actual like
from
stealth.
like from Sekiro, and like you could crouch and get bushes.
Like, I kind of wish I did a rogue build just so I could sneak around, and just kill people like insta backs.
So like Tyler's class started with a spell that makes you harder to notice. So like maybe you can start that class and go like.
Maybe.
I really like the starting class in this game. They're way better equipped than in any other game.
Oh yeah, one of the items you can pick just upgrades your flask immediately.
It's one of 2 to upgrade your flask. You need 2 of those seeds.
Right, but like still,
I definitely went with that one. I was like, I like.
I went with the more health. I don't know why, but I think I was really tired when I started. Which is like, I always need more health.
I was telling Willer I kind of didn't want to do this talk today because I've been enjoying not analyzing the game at all. As a developer, it's hard to not do, and like especially a designer. And
you have some nitpicks. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, I can. First of all, I'm gonna do like a positive thing. So like I've been studying a lot of level design like the really past few years because it's been my job. Dude, they have done such a good job with making this world feel alive, and it's not even like all the shit like that you can collect and pick up everywhere, but it's like in places where it's the enemy encounters are so well spaced out, and each one has a purpose and a like well given intent. And then beyond that, they have like cool little interactions where you have like you go around and there's these 2 enemy factions fighting each other. Like I've had that happen like 3 different times. I'm like, why the fuck are y'all fighting? But you know they are. There's some lore behind that. I don't know what it is, but it exists.
I'll figure it out when it's explained to me much later by a YouTuber.
Like there's cool little things where you can buy like hints and secrets.
I like that
from
system
the NPC vendors, and that really like motivates me to not go research things online. A lot of the NPCs will talk about other characters that you come into contact with. They'll be like, if you talk to one magician, you go to another magician, they'll be like, oh, have you heard of that magician? They're like, oh yeah, I used to run with him back in the day. Not too bad of a lad that I know, but he's well washed up and insane now. What a fucking piece of shit. And it's like those like lead into more stories that do those like environmental storytellings where it doesn't even tell you everything right up.
I hate quests in Souls games because they're so easy to miss. It's like, oh, you didn't go here in this stretch of the game? Quest line over. This game feels a little more reined in and modern with its questing.
Yeah. I have a big beef with this game that it is not next gen. It is sad. Like, there is so much seamless loading, and they've done really good job with that, but it's like they have not utilized any of the haptic controller performance on the PlayStation controller. I feel like there's a lot of cool features that could have been done with that. I feel like they had to sacrifice a lot of quality to make it available on previous generation consoles.
Yeah. And you're right. You are right about that. Because, like, even Demon Souls, uses some of the controller mechanics. One that I really liked, and it's really subtle. While you have a buff applied to you, your controller very subtly vibrates, and then without even like looking at to see if your weapon's enhanced or if you still have the glow, you'll know that the upgrade's done when your controller's back to neutral.
It's a really weird thing that I've been noticing lately, and these are the elevations of pickiness that I've gotten to where how immersive I can get into a game. Like, I've been doing so much VR over the last year, and like you can decorate like worlds and environments with that. There's like combat games and stuff that I've been playing, and it's like how much like. There's like even Tarkov and like 3D, not Tarkov, but Pavlov and like 3D printed sets for like your guns and like your like Oculus controllers go into it. And it's just like the immersiveness that even the haptic controller feedback gives into you, like when you're playing a PS5 game, is really great.
Think of Returnal when you're in the rain, and like it rains so often in this game. Like that feeling of the rain in Returnal feels so good. It's so weird. Or collecting
there's
items.
Audio. There's a speaker in the controller that it doesn't utilize at all.
But it's not a PlayStation exclusive, so I don't hold it against them. And I was saying, like, I appreciate, because like this is the hyped up Elden Ring. I appreciate that they got it running on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So like even Bradley can play it without having to work, because the real serious negative is how FromSoft has always kind of fucked up PC launches.
Yeah,
I think that's a Japanese developer thing. Like they
100%.
Yeah, one day
playing with headphones kind of makes my ears bleed a little bit. There's like all the audio's there, but it's all like really in my ears. There's no like
they didn't
really
use
good mixing.
They didn't use like the PlayStation 3D audio mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's just stereo. And so like I know it's not an exclusive title. I get that, but I really feel like this is insider knowledge. Whenever the more consoles you have to deliver to, the less money that gets to go into the game and actually making it better.
Yeah, I think most people could just reason that. I mean, like everything's a cost.
Some people don't reason that.
They don't.
You know?
Some people don't really think about the games they consume or how they're made.
They don't understand the time and effort people have to go into.
Just eat the sausage and complain that it doesn't look as pretty as Horizon Zero Dawn and move on.
Like I'm having a lot of fun playing it. It is probably I haven't played a Souls game in like 8 years, so it's been great. But yeah, like those really nitpicky things, like I compare this to Returnal as like a next gen game, and I know you can't really do that because they're two really different games. But I'm like,
but here's the thing:
think about when I was playing Returnal, and I was so like, dude, I've stayed up till like 5 a.m. for the past 4 or 5 nights playing this, like every single fucking night since it's come out.
Stupid
like,
thing. This shit's crack.
It is. Like I'm not complaining in that.
My work is genuinely suffering. Like that's where we're at.
Yeah. I just genuinely wish it did like have those next gen features. I think that would have really like this game is already going to be solidified as like one of the best games of all time. People are already there saying it and all that stuff. Sure, you know, it's common consensus. I can't argue against that. But that little extra push is just for me personally that's like the Titanfall 2, the Returnal, you know, like the gilded status.
Man, okay, I don't know, man. Like, but okay, take that aside. Take aside the immersion of those next gen features. As a design game and as of the scope, like this is a massive world with so much combat and places for you to explore, and they matter. They're not a copy pasted like aside from some of the catacomb like interiors. They're not like just a flat land that they kind of threw together and then put a bunch of little random bullshit. It's a crafted world. It feels all handcrafted and intentional. And like for the scope of this world, and like it's just so incredibly fun. I can't believe like to me this is an achievement in gaming. Like
dude, it looks so beautiful. And I've been playing too many Game Freak games that I'm like I will sit there. I've stopped so many times and just looked at the textures and like looked at how flat they are. Like I've tried to get like as flat as I can and I'm like, and then I go to a vertical view and I'm like, that's a fucking good texture, man. Look at those details. Like look at those grass. And I go, I wonder if they made those in Speed Tree. Man, that shit's great. Look at this vegetation.
That won't be seeing that. They do use Speed Tree, I'm pretty sure. Won't be seeing that in the next Pokemon game, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
You'd be happy with your tall grass.
I'm so fucked up at this point. I'm like, look at those textures, man. Look at those rocks. They look great.
Shockingly, this generation is off to a very good start with its games, I think.
I think this is a stronger start than the previous generation.
Yeah, which has me worried what the end of this life cycle is going to be.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's slowing down. We're about to get, again, God of War and Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is going to be interesting. Yeah. Because Genshin and this game have come out since, and it's like...
And the Switch's age is starting to really show.
Yeah, so it's like, is Nintendo going to be able to keep up with what they started? That's so interesting to think about.
The original is always the palest and compared to its successors if they're done good. So,
other things I want to bring up, like I like they made co-op and multiplayer. Tyler's freaking out. They made co-op and multiplayer the easiest to do. I was getting summoned. I don't like summoning people to fight my fight, but I will gladly go help someone else. So I turned on this thing, and I would walk 5 steps and get summoned to a random dungeon. And just go help a dude fight a dungeon. It was so easy. I was doing co-op I did so many sessions in 30 minutes that I was like, it's never been this easy. I've never done any of this in the other games because it's such a pain in the ass.
This is the most insane week in fucking gaming ever.
Did another thing happen? Is it like breaking news?
It's not breaking news. I just forgot about it. I was
so Risk of Rain 2 DLC came out.
Risk of Rain 2 first DLC came out.
Yeah. Yo, Risk of Rain, great game, allegedly. I did want to talk about the bosses. I think the bosses are so good. They punish every playstyle in a really good way.
Dude,
like the mainline bosses, like Margit and Godric, and are the only ones I fought from the main line. And then you got like stuff that everyone's gonna run into, like Tree Sentinel. Some playstyles will be easier than others, but they have moves to address everything partially, at least. And man, I love like the phases in Souls games are so hype. Where they switch to their second phase, it's like I have a giant lightning hammer now, and my moveset is gonna be like the way staggering a moveset is how you fuck up every player. You do a swing. And then you hold that second swing and catch him post-roll. I love it. That's how they get you.
Also, I found out, I didn't realize up until like the last few times where I was fighting him, his lightning weapons or his light weapons pierce armor.
They do, because every shield you have, this is something you learn from other Souls games. If you wanted to block the lightning attacks, you'd equip a shield that has 100 in the lightning defense.
Yeah.
But generally, you're going to find a 100 physical defense shield, because that's most of the attacks, and then be vulnerable to magic. So the more shields you get, the more you can cover for those weaknesses. Yeah. And then one last thing that me and Tyler were noticing, it's like in the catacombs, all the bosses are pretty much versions of other enemies you'll see throughout the world, and that's the one concession that they had to make. Where it's like, okay, we're gonna make shrines like in Zelda, and all the shrines are gonna have like little puzzle you have to solve, and then you're gonna fight a super version of an enemy you're gonna find somewhere else in the world. And you know what? That's fine because it's a harder version of that enemy.
Dude, even though still the boss fight encounters are like, as I was saying, the dedication to making each encounter feel different, even in the wilds, has been so good.
Yeah.
It like most people won't even realize this. Like, you may fight the same 4 enemies, but they've added a hilltop this time.
And it matters. It super matters.
It does matter, and most people won't even. They're like,
for example,
oh yeah, I fought the same group of undead dudes like 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, yeah, but like one of the encounters was on a hill. Whether like
one of the encounters you had bushes.
Yeah. And some people can be so conditioned to like playing games they won't even realize their own thought process at certain times, and it's amazing. I'm not even mad. It's great.
And like they have a good pacing of introducing new enemies to you. You're gonna see a lot of them recycled as you go on, but as you spread out, you're gonna be running into enemies for the first time. Like I saw a weird pair of hands with 6 fingers attacking a Twitter person. I was like, what the fuck is that? I haven't seen anything close to that.
Y'all, I'm in an area right now that is in one of it's very close to one of the starting areas, It's in Limgrave, I guess, is like that's the starting area. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
It is.
Grand, yeah.
It will blow y'all's fucking minds.
I'm excited. I've been blown many times by this game. And then like about the like, for example, I fought the bear, the giant bear that some of y'all might have run into. I fought him as a boss. So he gets new moves, and you're in an elongated cave instead. And that terrain change is different from when I fought him on my horse, and he has more health and does more damage now. So it's like, I'm fine with like, this gives you stuff to do, and the most important part is, okay, you kill that boss, you get a unique reward. Every single catacomb has 1 to 2 unique rewards you can't get anywhere else in the game, as far as I'm aware. And I think
also the world bosses fucking slap.
And then the world bosses are ridiculous. Yeah, like, of course. If y'all want to, like, does anyone have an objection to me saying the number of bosses that are in the game? Because I've heard that number recently.
20.
Hit me.
The number of bosses in Elden Ring is like 84, I believe.
Damn.
And among those 84, 77 were unique bosses. So they might that will include like, now it's a boss bear, but it doesn't include the fact that like I've run into 2 of that dog statue enemy. So there's not that many repeat bosses. And if even half of those, if even 40 of them are wholly unique, that is on par with every other Souls game, if not more.
Yeah,
so
holy
like, good job. How they made a game so grand and how they're gonna top it is beyond me. But we can kind of close it there. I will say that like, the other day I was playing 13 Sentinels with Bradley and we finished it.
Oh.
And he went home and I was like, what are my current top 3 favorite games? And in that thought process, Bloodborne rose to number 3. And then I started playing this game, and unless it fumbles, I think this is a better game than Bloodborne.
Ooh.
Which means this is a top 3 game for me. Potentially, maybe even higher. So that's a scary thought. We'll talk about the game that broke into number 2 also later today. But we should move on, because we don't want to go for too long. We're doing good in time, considering that it's Elden Ring week. So I'll take that.